You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures. Saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark. You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
Alright, it's Jessie. How y'all doing out there today? You know I miss you when we're not talking. Now, before I get started with the show and going through all the evil in this world, and we know that's a lot of what my show does. First of all, I gotta explain, and I don't have to, but I feel I have to explain to you why I wasn't with you last night on 9/11 of all days. I feel I kind of owe you an explanation, even though I could easily just say external obligations like my tweet did and leave it at that. But I feel like I know you guys, even though some nights it's only a one-way conversation. But I must say, it was because it was 9/11. I wasn't with you. I was with others who had lost family members on 9/11. And I've said it before, I will say it again. My military family, and in some cases my close friends, I love you guys. I love being here. They will always take priority. It's just a promise I made to myself. And it's one I lived up to last night. Now, title of tonight's episode: The World's on Fire or It's Drowning. Good frickin' grief. It just seems like there's two statuses right now for this world. You've got a region in conflict or it's drowning. And I mean literally, in most cases, got more water than it can handle. Not just the United States either. There have been other natural disasters that people in this country haven't heard about. Because, and I must say rightly so, we have been focused on our own little corner of the world. There was an earthquake in Italy the same time Harvey hit. Most of you never heard about it. There were a couple of monsoons, which is another name for hurricane, folks. It's just called a monsoon in different parts of the world. The world is flat out going crazy. Now, of course, I've got some audio clips. You know me. I've always got those. But I've got something of an announcement. I love doing my show. No, I'm not giving up on it. But when my military family reaches out, and several of them have recently, they're gonna come first. They've been with me through thick and thin. Now, let me grab the show prep off the printer. Yeah, I'm that disorganized tonight. You guys know it. Yep, the sound you've all been waiting for. The show prep on the laptop. Yeah, I do this on a laptop, and that's the sound of the paper hitting the laptop right in front of the mouse pad. Same sound every night. I do have a cute story to end the show. Yes, I found something cute. Trust me. I had to search, because there's a lot going on that's not so cute right now. Oh, what's that, host kitty? Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Yes. Now, yes, tonight's show did get started quite late. There were a few technical glitches. I never knew a different web browser could be so cranky. But it was. It was. It was that cranky and then some. But before I start with all the drowning, I want to talk about some place called It's between Myanmar and Pakistan. Rohingya, and I'm probably mispronouncing it. I don't doubt that. Before I get to the news, there's two things I want to do. I need to do a shout out to everybody that checked up on me during the storms. And I'm glad to see a couple of my internet friends back online because, believe it or not, I do worry about you. Now, how do you become one of those internet friends? Well, there's two ways. You can tune in and learn to follow me on Twitter. Yes, you can find me on Twitter at Jessie's POV. You can join me on Coffee Shop. And we can talk about your book if you're an author. I've got a lot of authors following me. Yeah, no joke. In fact, there was one author in particular I was particularly worried about during the storms. Because he and I kind of connected over a coffee shop episode, but it's one you haven't heard yet. Hey, I'm scheduling for December now. No joke, it's September. I'm scheduling 3 months out. Trust me, my jaw's as much on the floor as yours is. But there was one author, and I worried about him through all of Irma. Because he doesn't live in the United States. He lives in the Dominican Republic. And I'm just thankful. I was very thankful and relieved and gave a huge sigh of relief when Carl Hackman showed up online today. And yeah, he's written a pretty awesome book too. Actually, you may have... Oh, his episode has aired. I just remembered. Tells you how organized I am tonight. Can't even keep my shows straight. But yeah, he's written a pretty awesome book. And I was really relieved because he lived in a place that got hit harder, if you can believe that, than what the United States got hit. And they don't necessarily have all the same infrastructure. We take the interstate highway system for granted. You go outside of our country, and yeah, there's some of it in Europe, but it's not the same. And there is no interstate system. It's part of what makes our country unique. So I was pretty relieved when I saw that author in particular. Now that doesn't put down all the rest of you I checked up on and kept watching for posts on and never said a word. That doesn't take anything away from the ones I know of you in Florida and the ones that are in Texas when I kept an eye out on you during Harvey. But the Dominican Republic just seems so remote. Who knows, maybe one of these nights I'll have to have Carl on and talk to me about it. Yeah, maybe I can get him on POV. So, alright, back to the rest of what I have to say. There's a huge problem, and it's between Pakistan and Myanmar. Now, most of you have heard of Pakistan because it's right next to Afghanistan. But the Rohingya Muslims in Burma, it's become a classic case of genocide. Yep, classic case. I don't know how else to describe it, but it has. And even the UN is saying it's a classic case of genocide. Now, most of Pakistan hadn't even heard of Rohingya Muslims, except in a little impoverished corner of Karachi. It's a port city on the Arabian Sea. Tens of thousands of Rohingya migrants lived peacefully for half a century, working on fishing boats or docks. The older ones had originally fled a repressive military regime. They escaped either on foot or by boat. 2 weeks ago, word began to reach the community in Karachi that something terrible was happening in their homeland. On social media, relatives described military troops raiding and torching homes in Burma, the Rakhine state. News videos showed thousands of people leaving. Soon, almost 300,000 have fled to Bangladesh, a coastal neighbor, on the Bay of Bengal. It actually was once part of Pakistan. In Karachi, a fisherman named Noor Mohammed told a news agency that 3 members of his family were killed in Rakhine the previous week. A woman said her sister had tried to reach Bangladesh by boat, but was being held by boat owners demanding a large payment. Rohingya Muslims are a stateless minority. They remind me a lot of the Kurds. Another group that doesn't have its own country and probably needs its own little corner of the world. No, I'm not saying we should carve up the entire world and give every group their own little corner. But we're not necessarily talking tiny majority. Sorry folks, trying to keep Mr. Frog off the air, had to grab a drink of water. Last week the outrage spread. And it spread, well, like wildfire. And it spread far beyond Karachi's fishing village. In cities and towns across Pakistan, people were suddenly organizing demonstrations to protest the Rohingyas' plight. Lawyers, tradesmen, civic groups, clerics, journalists, tribal leaders, and universities communities all joined in. The phrase Rohingya genocide flashed across nightly newscasts. And even the United Nations has taken note. I guess you've really accomplished something when you've gotten the UN to take note. On Friday, thousands of demonstrators converged on Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, after weekly prayer ceremonies. Now, they did clash with riot police near the high security diplomatic zone. They were attempting to reach Burma's embassy, but they were stopped by shipping containers placed across key streets. The march? No, it didn't turn into an all-out riot. It turned into a peaceful sit-in that lasted until late evening. On Monday, leaders from religious and secular political parties joined rallies across Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province to urge the civilized world to stop the mass execution of Burmese Muslims. Now, even the UN has taken note of this plight. And while I don't hold, sometimes I say the UN is just a talking head, and in some ways it is. But in other ways, it can do a lot of good. It really can. And it just shocks me that social media shocks me in a good way, I might add. Social media helped bring this little corner of the world out of the shadows and onto the world stage. So while you may take social media for granted, and I use it for pushing my show and finding authors and sometimes saying hi to the random friend, social media can sometimes, it may not be able to change things on the moment's notice, but it does have the power to help the world find out. So for everyone that spread those messages, took place in those peaceful demonstrations. And there were also demonstrations in numerous other Muslim communities, Ukraine, Indonesia, and Afghanistan, to name a few. And it's an odd twist. An Islamic party in Afghanistan, Hezbi Islami, blamed the Taliban for spurring anti-Muslim violence in Burma when the group destroyed the famous Buddha statue of Balmain. In 2001, Taliban officials said in turn they welcomed the show of international support for the Muslims of Burma. I'm shocked. Even the Taliban, at least on paper, have a heart. And Mala Yousaf, activist for girls' education who won the Nobel Peace Prize because she survived a Taliban attack, said she repeatedly condemned the tragic and shameful treatment of the Rohingyas in Burma. So, yes, social media has made the top of my things to talk about tonight. Hint, this doesn't mean it's all warm and fuzzy out there. Trust me, I still catch the occasional troll. Although, I usually don't go picking the fights. That tends to help not attract too many of them. So what is Myanmar, the Rohingya, and Aung San Suu Kyi? Historians say the Rohingya Muslims have lived in Myanmar, also known as Burma, since the 12th century. They are descendants of Muslim immigrants from India and China, as well as earlier Arab settlers. The religion is Sufi-infused Sunni Islam. The Burma Muslim crisis prompted pleas by aid agencies for funds. Because Myanmar or Burma government restricts the educational opportunities, many pursue fundamental Islamic studies in mosques and religious schools present in most villages. They speak a dialect of Bengali, which is spoken in Bangladesh and parts of India. However, their dialect is distinct to other languages spoken in the area. About 1.1 million of them are living in an impoverished state. However, they're not considered one of 135 official ethnic groups. Their rights to marry, study, travel, and have access to health services are restricted. So why did they all start running to Bangladesh? Well, there was another Muslim insurgency. Yep, the world's on fire. And they've been targeted in a cycle of violence by Buddhists and Myanmar security forces, prompting the UN to describe them as among the world's most persecuted people. According to the International Crisis Group, a committee of Burmese immigrants with experience in guerrilla warfare oversees the militants from Mecca. Its leader, Atullah Abu Ammar Jununi, was born in Pakistan, raised in Saudi Arabia. Now, hint, folks, Saudi Arabia is the home of Wahhabi Islamists, which is another potentially radical sect. Not all of them are, but it does have the potential, and a lot of the Wahhabists do turn radical. Some, I believe, but don't quote me here, some of the 9/11 hijackers may have even been Wahhabis. I'd have to look up the facts. So on March 2014, the Myanmar government banned the word Rohingya and asked for registration of the minority as Bengalis in the country's first census in 3 decades. This meant that 1.3 million people were not included in the census. On April 2015, when the government formally rescinded the temporary ID or white cards, the last form of official government identification for Rohingya, stripping them of voting rights linked to the cards, they lost a lot. The Rohingya had hoped the election of Nobel Peace Laureate and democracy champion Aung San Suu Kyi in November 2015 would see a turnaround in hostility towards them from the new government, but violence against them has worsened. A United Nations report in February 2015 accused Myanmar security forces of atrocities against the Rohingya that could amount to crimes against humanity. So why has San Suu Kyi refused to speak up? Although she is the country's de facto leader, sandwiched politically by the powerful Myanmar military, national Buddhist majority parties, and an undemocratic constitution, she says her government swept into power at historic elections in 2015. However, she says she cannot tell the military not to launch offensives. Buddhists hate Rohingya and label them Bengali, illegal immigrants. And if Suu Kyi was to speak up for the Rohingya, she would alienate her support base. And you guys thought we were the only country with politicians who wouldn't speak their mind for fear of alienating their base. It's spread so far that even Australia fears the ongoing violence because it fears it could spark a new wave of boat people. That's what happened in 2015 after an outbreak of violence. A flood of refugees jumped in boats and headed for Australia. Like I said, you think our politicians are bad? We may not have the worst of them. All right. I am having to cut my show a little short tonight because of the technical difficulties getting started. So we are going to take our regularly scheduled commercial break. And I will see you on the other side.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
At St. Jude, a family never sees a bill at all. It's like the world has been lifted off of your shoulders.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
All right, thank y'all for hanging in there with me while we paid those radio station bills. And yes, I know I got a late start tonight. And as always, I took up the first part of my show with a few interesting announcements. All right, Mr. Frog has decided to join me tonight. We'll do what we can to keep him at bay. So now that I brought the plight of another area of the world, I don't always remember to talk about. And yes, I just called myself out there. I do have some of the usual suspects and some of the usual things to talk about. All right. Yes, here it comes. You all know what else is on my list. Quackers! The UN voted in even more sanctions on North Korea. Guys, they're running out of stuff to sanction. No, I'm not joking. They are literally running out of stuff to sanction in North Korea. And no idea what that red line is or where it is. But that 6th North Korean nuclear test definitely pushed us forward. And I said this before, and I will say it again. I pray I'm wrong. I pray that we do not end up in a conflict on the Korean Peninsula. Now, I had the station account on Twitter, KLRNRadio.com, do a poll. Are we going to go to war on the Korean Peninsula? Now, granted, Trump has been full of his rhetoric, and I'm not going to knock it, deny it. He's had a lot going on, and a lot to say about a lot of things. However, I wanted to know what you thought. The listeners of KLRN Radio and our Twitter friends and followers. So, I didn't know what better way to do it. There were 4 possible answers. Do you think we'll end up going to war with North Korea? Yes, because Trump's a fool. Yes, because Trump's protecting us. No, or other. Please reply. Now, we have 27% say yes because Trump's a fool, and 20% say yes because Trump is protecting us. That comes out to 47%. 42% of you say just flat out no. Now, let's read some of the... And then 11% of you had an other, and there were a few interesting comments. A couple of people said, no, it's unthinkable. And that came from at Don on the Air, co-host, and at Ron_Tenant. And the Derp State, Lenny Gould said no red line No, red lines have already been crossed and the administration deflected by leaking the DACA stuff. We are too war-weary. Whether we should is a different story. Lenny, I find that's interesting. Why don't we get together on air and talk about it? And another person, of course, reminded me, we have been at war with them for many years. Now we may have to take out Kim, but we'd rather not. If he tries to attack, we will end him. And that was at Carolyn's Corner. And Carolyn's Corner has K's in both of those words. And Grumpy Bear said a clash of some sort is inevitable in the long run because of the nature of the North Korean government. Well, I got to admit, Grumpy, unfortunately I side with you. Don, I've got a response to that. Unthinkable. And I will get that queued up for you in just a moment. But I don't think it is unthinkable. Horrific. Oh yeah. But Don, I'm going to refer you to Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dunford.
Many people, and this is an important point, many people have talked about military options as with words like unimaginable. And I would probably shift that slightly and say it would be horrific. And there would be a loss of life unlike any we have experienced in our lifetimes. And I mean, anyone who's been alive since World War II has never seen the loss of life that could occur if there's a conflict on the Korean Peninsula. But as I've told my counterparts, both friend and foe, it is not unimaginable to have military options to respond to North Korean nuclear capability. What's unimaginable to me is allowing a capability that will allow a nuclear weapon to land in Denver, Colorado. That's unimaginable to me.
And that again is the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs, General Dunford. So I would have to agree with him. It's not unthinkable or unimaginable. Horrific? That's a whole other tale. Now, I could go on replaying clips. We all know I got the stash of North Korea gifts. You know, clips and things like that. And I haven't had time to wade through all of the gems I picked up from yesterday's United Nations Security Council meeting. That, yes, once again, said that, well, they condemned North Korea, and here's a few more sanctions. They sanctioned textiles. Now, that was new. They limited oil imports. That was new. But what I've got to ask myself, Iran is an oil-producing country, and I'm willing to bet they've got some refineries there. Because I never heard of gas shortages in Iran while they had limited trade arrangements, and one of the biggest things they're wanting to export is oil. What's to stop Iran, who is the master of evading sanctions, from just increasing its trade with North Korea? Now, that wasn't the biggest thing to hit me while I had a couple days off this weekend. The biggest thing, China is North Korea's big brother. Of that, there is no doubt. China is thrilled that North Korea is over here acting a fool. What? Yes. The whole world's watching the Korean Peninsula. Their eyes have been taken off the South China Sea. And China is still playing real-world Minecraft, making land where there was none. Yep. Still at it. And nobody's paying attention because, well, all the time for the Asia Pacific news, it gets devoted to the one with the the new nuclear power on the block that may or may not be able to launch it and may or may not be able to hit what it's aiming at. Now, thankfully, the predicted launch this past weekend did not come. However, they did hold a banquet to honor everyone that had a hand in the recent nuclear test. So, what does China want? To stop North Korea. And this is what I'm betting is the diplomacy going on behind the scenes. China wants the South China Sea, all of it. Right up to the international waters, and maybe even parts of those, of the other countries who already took them to the International Court of Arbitration, and China lost. Big time. But China just said, we don't care, we're going to do what we want. So, Big Brother is thumbing its nose at the world. Little Brother, meanwhile, the little red-headed stepchild, North Korea, is thumbing its nose at the world. And people actually expect China to enforce strict sanctions on North Korea. Ha, 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 ha. Now, I will say there's some good news in all this chaos. The good news, you know that ferry that started up between North Korea and Russia? Canceled due to lack of business. But I'm willing to bet that whatever time it was set up for, it moved more than people. It just doesn't seem like the Russians to set up trade with North Korea, make it well publicly known, shout it from the rooftops, and not take advantage of it for some other means. Now, I would love to sit here and go on and talk North Korea. But in reality, 15 minutes of my time, maybe a little more, was gobbled up by technical difficulties. And then there was my announcements. Of course, I had to make those. And I am thankful that all my listeners are safe and sound. By the way, intelligence indicates North Korea is going to attack us, but it's going to be a cyber attack over the UN sanctions. North Korea's top envoy in Geneva condemned the latest round of UN Security Council sanctions against Pyongyang, describing the embargoes as an illegal measure. And I haven't had time to chase the audio. North Korea refuses to recognize the resolution of the Security Council because it has no legal basis. Sanctions Resolution 2375 also kills the textile exports, kills the income from North Korean overseas laborers, and cuts back oil exports to the regime by 30%. North Korea has warned it will retaliate. Most of the experts say this will come in the form of a cyber attack. Alright. Last story, folks, and then I do have to make my way on out of here. I found a cute story. I promise this one has the cute factor. Service before self. That's what two members of the Air Force National Guard told each other when they decided to cancel their wedding in order to help with hurricane relief efforts in Florida. Senior Air National Guard members Lauren Durham and Michael Davis did, however, get married at the Orange County Convention Center in Orlando on Sunday, just hours before they were scheduled to rush into the winds of Irma to help residents in need of rescue. Well, it started out as a joke, and it just kind of unfolded. The couple was gearing up for an intimate beach wedding scheduled for the second week of September, when they were deployed indefinitely. Instead, of getting married with a dress and a tuxedo and all the frills, lace. Although they did find a bouquet of flowers for the bride. They got married in the convention center, wearing their uniforms, and we're talking the fatigues, the utilities, the ones they work in, not the pretty ones, in a vast hangar filled with rescue vehicles and fellow rescue workers. Durham, who had purchased a big, poofy, flowy princess gown for the planned ceremony, said she was not quite sure how their out-of-town guests will react when they find out they missed the wedding. I think it will be quite a surprise for them, but I think they'll understand. It was very, very impromptu. Now, for those of you who don't know how the military family works, yeah, you just make a joke about, yeah, I'll marry him 10 minutes before we get on the plane. That's raving red in front of a bull to a military soldier. They'll figure out a way to make this happen. So, crowds of people, including a few longtime friends from the service and strangers who also came to assist the deadly storm, set up folding chairs and watched as the impromptu ceremony unfolded. Like I said, they did manage to come up with a bouquet for the bride, but there were no fancy hors d'oeuvres. But Durham was happily reminded everyone, MREs do have Skittles. So she was pretty excited about that. I think she was just happy to be married. And boy, oh boy, that story made me smile. It was the first story in days that did. All right, folks. I got to tell you guys a few things. Jesse's POV is now on iHeartRadio. Of course, it's been on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher. It's on Stitcher. Yeah, you heard me. It's on Stitcher. And Jesse's Coffee Shop is also on iHeart, iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Don't know if it's on Stitcher. I'll have to look into it. All right, folks. You can find me on Twitter at Jesse's POV. You can email me at the station, Jesse's POV at KLRNRadio.com. You can email me, you can reach out to me through jessescoffeeshop.com. Yeah, Coffee Shop has its own website. It just has too many pretty book covers not to have its own website. And you can, of course, email me at the station at Jessie, Jessie, at KLRNradio.com. Now, you regulars know what's coming. You newbies, fasten your seatbelts. Hang on for the ride. 'Cause I'm